Hey, what's up guys? So Escort just released firmware version 1.8 for the Redline 360C. This is a relatively minor update with some improvements to Ka band sensitivity, BSM filtering, Aero transition speed, as well as a couple bug fixes. Now this update was just released earlier this morning, and I went ahead and updated my detector, and I've been out doing some testing specifically to test out the Aero transition speeds. But in this video, I kind of want to run over all the different changes and what we know so far, especially as we're all kind of starting to do our different testing. So first off, in terms of Ka sensitivity, Escort says that yes, this is being improved here with firmware 1.8, a lot like we saw with firmware 1.6. And so this, of course, is going to need some testing too to see how much better the range is. Does it affect all the different Ka frequencies? What is it optimized for? Things like that. But it's definitely nice to see some improvements here nonetheless. Second, we've got some improvements to the BSM filtering, and specifically against different GM vehicles. Escort has also said that development here is ongoing, and so it looks like we've got some updates here already, and then I guess we should expect some more updates down the line as well. Now, the third thing to talk about is the Aero transition speeds. This is something that's been continually updated here with the Redline 360C, and it looks like we do have some changes here with this latest update. Now, you guys may remember the Aero testing that I did with a bunch of different detectors. With the Redline 360C, I tested back with firmware version 1.6. Overall, things were pretty good. One of the main things that I noticed was the fact that despite the fact that there was not one but two speed signs, the detector would never properly report that there was a second signal up ahead. It would flip and change directions from rear to front as I started approaching the second source, but I never actually saw it say that there was two signals. Now, I tested here with firmware 1.7, and when I updated here, it looks like the detector is now actually properly reporting that there is two signals present. The detector would still kind of wait until after I passed the source to then begin doing the Aero transitions, and it would take a couple seconds or so for the arrows to start flipping backwards. But with now firmware 1.8, it looks like we do have some different Aero behavior here as well. With 1.8, I'm noticing when I approach a speed sign that's directly in front of me and facing me, the arrows will actually start to transition just before I pass the source. It looks like they're working on the Aero transition speeds to make it start to transition faster. And then again, as I keep driving down the course, the detector is going to properly alert and let me know that there's not just one, but two signals. There's a second new source up ahead, and I really like that. Now, when I'm passing the second source, which is going to be hitting me from behind after I pass, the behavior here is a little bit different. I noticed in this situation, it does still wait until after I pass the source for the arrows to begin flipping backwards. I did multiple test passes here in both directions, and this behavior seemed to be pretty consistent. Now, the only real negative thing to report here is I'm seeing some weird behavior with the Rampup that I know others have reported with other Escort detectors too. Namely, the fact that sometimes when you pass a radar source, such as a speed sign here on the left, the detector will actually drop in signal strength and then resume alerting full tilt. You would expect the detector to ramp up kind of smoothly and get stronger and stronger as you get closer to the source, and then after you pass, eventually it starts to ramp back down, right? It's weird to see the detector almost drop the signal as you get closer to the source and then be like, no, hold on, let me resume alerting at full tilt. That ramp up behavior is really weird. It's different than the Aero transitions. This is something specific to the ramp up that I know a number of different Escort detectors have all been doing, and it looks like I'm still seeing it here with the Redline 360C, even with firmware version 1.8. I also saw this with 1.7. I hope it's something that Escort maybe updates in a future firmware update too, not just for the Redline 360C, but for all of Escort's detectors. Anyways, for this update specifically, they're focusing on the Aero transition speeds, and it looks like, yes, it does actually transition faster when you pass a radar source, which is definitely nice. And then fourth, the last thing to talk about is Escort has said that there's some bug fixes they've introduced here to the detector as well. There's no details as far as what bugs they fixed, but it's nonetheless nice to see some additional bug fixes here. Now, if you'd like to update your detector, you can go ahead and update with Escort detector tools and plug it in and update with your computer. Additionally, as always, you can update your detector over Wi-Fi too once the update is available over Wi-Fi. Now, down in the video description, I'm going to have a number of different links, things to like where you can purchase a detector if you haven't already. I'm going to have links to where you can go and download the update software. And then, of course, over on the forums where we're all kind of discussing the update, posting our test results and things like that, you can hop on over there. I'll link to that in the video description too, and join us for all the discussion. I'm especially curious to hear from you guys who update your detectors. You know, what do you see with your arrows? Do they perform better? And then also, do you see improved BSM filtering, especially against GM vehicles? That's something that we want to test here as well. Should be fairly straightforward to see while you're driving. Long-range testing against Ka-band, of course, is going to take some more controlled testing and proper testing to find out what kind of improvements we have there. But regardless, that's kind of the updates here that we have with firmware version 1.8. Thanks so much to Escort for continuing to update your detector. Thanks to you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and again, a bunch more information down in the description below. Awesome. That's it for now. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.